Are you considering having a new home built, or maybe you are in the process of having a new home built and wondering if you should have an inspection? Hey, in this video, I'm going to go through one of my recent transactions where a buyer client just bought a DR Horton home. We did have an inspection completed. This is going to talk through that process. What does the inspection report look like? I got that queued up right here. So we're going to go through what the inspection report looks like. We're going to talk about the inspection process, how did DR Horton respond to getting these inspection comments? Did they fix them? Were they okay with it? Were they happy, sad? So we're going to go through all that, and then there's some tricks here that you're going to hang on and learn about, like how to. A lot of times the follow-up's not always there, so you got to stay on the builders, and so we're going to get into some of that stuff to make sure that your home is ready to go by closing so you don't have any hiccups. And also hang on to the end, because I also want to tell you about how DR Horton's financing has this special feature to it that's not available through most lenders, that allowed my buyer to buy this house before he sold his previous house. So all right, let's dig right in. All right, so what I have queued up right here is the inspection report. So we're going to page through that. And if you want a copy of this, in the comments below, just say send me a copy and I'll send it to you directly. Or if you click the link in the description, you'll go to this webpage here and you enter in your email, and then you'll get direct access to the inspection report right there too. 20-second introduction about myself. So my name is Tony Enza, real estate agent serving Illinois and Indiana, all the way Valparaiso to Shanahan to Palos Hills, the whole region. And if you do me a favor and just subscribe to our channel, it really helps out the channel and it will promote it for me, and it really helps me out. We get lots of business from YouTube, so we appreciate your views. And again, we do these videos ultimately to help our clients and viewers. And if you got any value out of this video, if you could hit that like button and really make my day, if you hit that subscribe, it really helps let YouTube know that people are interested in this content, and it pushes it out, which helps us with inbound referral leads. All right, no further ado, let's dive into this inspection report. So inspection reports, they have a summary section that we'll see. We'll go through the entire thing. It'll not take too long, but we want you to see what the format of an inspection looks like, and then we'll go to the summary, because the summary is where the inspector lists the things that need to be fixed for the most part. So when building a new home, the first thing before having the inspection is to know when should you have the inspection. And the builder is going to give you a schedule. So sometimes with the builder, they'll have existing homes ready to go that you can just get a contract on and do your financing and set a closing date. So as soon as that process begins, you can get your inspection scheduled. In a standard real estate transaction in both Illinois and Indiana, it's usually within like a 5 business day window that you're supposed to have the inspection completed. So if it's an existing house, you're going to want to get that inspection scheduled right away. For something that's being built brand new from ground up, or if we're having a house being built for us right now, and then we got a contract on it when it was in foundation, so they're almost done with it, and so our inspection is going to be happening soon. So with that, you'll get updates from your builder, or you can just check in with your builder and say, hey, I want to have an inspection done, and when it be the right time for it, and so you can figure that out. For this particular house with the DR Horton, so with scheduling it, how it worked is through my buyers. We talked about having inspection. They wanted to have an inspection, and it is, first item, it is good to have an inspection with a new home, because there's all kinds of tons of little details in a house that sometimes just get missed. It's usually not intentionally. And I actually had a story where a friend of mine, a realtor in Wisconsin, he had a client build a brand new house. They did the inspection, and they found out that the builder forgot to put insulation in the attic. And it was a production builder, like a bigger builder, and it was just, a crew that goes through all their houses and blows in the insulation. They missed it for whatever reason. And so the inspection flagged that, and they actually remedied it the same day. The crew just came in and blew in the insulation. But that could be something significant that you want to get that taken care of before you buy the house. And an inspection costs about $400 or $500, somewhere in that range. It could be a little less or more depending on your region. But for this inspection, this was like a 2,400 square foot-ish house, maybe 22. This was right around $500. And we do have the inspection report up here that we're going to go through. So we talked about that's how we schedule the inspection. And so the inspection process is that when you want to get an inspection done, you contact your inspector and get their schedule, obviously, and then you just let the the builder know. For new houses, homes are pretty much always available because there's nobody living in them, and so you just get the preferred time from the inspector. It says, hey, I'm available at Monday through Thursday at 9 a.m. this week or next week, and you just let the builder know, hey, here's the inspector's availability, and then you schedule it that way. Sometimes the inspector will just reach out. You'll have as the agent in this scenario, I was the go-between. The buyer decided on an inspector, and then I just coordinated with them. I got the DR Horton representative that we had for our build. I just told them, hey, we're going to have an inspection, and then they actually just talked. So we got the inspector to talk directly to the HR Horton rep, and then they nailed down the time, and then they had the inspection. So one question that also comes up too is that do the buyers attend the inspection? And you don't have to, because you'll get this report. I found that about half my buyers do attend the inspection, about half don't. It's good to do if available. I would say to do it, because you're going to learn a lot. The inspectors are usually pretty happy to tell you what they're looking for and all the processes. So it's a good way to learn about your house, and you'll probably look at some things that you'll maybe never look at again in your house. So it's just a nice way to get some information about the house also, and just learn about how the inspection, and you'll learn things about how the house works too, which is helpful, like changing furnace filters and things like that. Okay, so you got the inspection scheduled, and then the inspector arrives, and he's going to go through, he or she, going to go through all these different items. So we'll go through we'll go back to the summary at the end here. But the inspections these reports are formatted pretty much the same throughout all all inspectors. So you'll start off with the first part is going to talk. It's basically kind of like some weasel language that says, hey, we're going to inspect, and here's what we're going to be inspecting. Here's the limitations. If you want a premium or prestige package, we can go deeper. So it's kind of like their upsell. So a standard inspection, one thing to note, does not include like a sewer scope, as people call it, or televising the sewer. And on an older home, that is probably good to do. Regular inspection also does not include a termite or pest inspection, and so that's something that you want to know. And also radon is not included. So if one of those three are on your radar that you want to have looked at, you need to talk to your inspector to have them add that, or sometimes they don't do it themselves, and so you have to get another inspector to do those scopes of work. So just going through this report, talking about who the inspection is, the scope of inspection. So again, they have different levels of inspection. This is just information on how we're talking about there. This is just, so we're getting into, so these items aren't all issues. It's just, this is their checklist of things to look at. And so I'm just going to go high level so I don't bore you to death in this video. This was talk about site overview. So they're looking at landscaping, concrete, all that stuff outside. So they do walk around the house. If they find issues there, they'll note that. We got landscape grading. So they look at the site, and so this one they didn't have any visible or significant issues with landscape. The concrete here was visible. All right, I just realized if I blow this up on the screen, I'll save my editor a lot of headache. Thanks, Michelle. Thinking about you. That's my editor. All right, so walkways, driveways. So take a look at the driveway. Exterior. So this is some general stuff. These are general comments. They didn't find anything. Foundation surface, wall surface. So here's the first item that they noted. Minor gaps were noted on the edges of the brick veneer. Consider sealing these gaps to help prevent water penetration. So that's like this little gap right here. So they wanted to recommend having that sealed up, and that doesn't make sense because you don't want to get water pinned in there. So eaves, fascia, soffit, they didn't have any comments. Trim, you notice here incorrectly cut trim, indicated gaps near the garage door. So they're talking about this area, and so getting that sealed up is something that needs to be done. And again, I'm leaving out a little cliffhanger as to what happened with these comments. So here a gap was noted beneath the porch flashing, so that's this area right here. Yeah, so that's this area right here. Okay. Windows, no issues. Exterior doors, porches, window wells. So this was another item that they made comment on, was that Said for general safety, consider covers for these. And that's a good point, because these are window wells like this are called escape windows. And so especially if you want to have a basement bedroom count as an actual bedroom for like home value purposes, you have to have an escape window, and it's a good size hole right there, a good size void. So to ask to put a cover over there, like something that you could walk on and not fall through, obviously. All right, so roofing systems. So they're just talking about, they didn't notice any issues with the roof. This is more information. This is just general information about roofs, so it's just good information to know about a house. Got more roof here. Let's look at flashings. That's this stuff over here. Roof drainage. So this is something that they commented on, that consider adding extension to your gutter downspouts to promote watershed away from the foundation. And so what they're saying here is that water can come out, pool, soak into the ground, and then could possibly go back to the foundation underground. And as long as the yard is graded properly, if the water comes and like goes down the swale, you're okay. But me personally, I like, and this isn't included in the scope of a new home build unless you add it, is to have the gutters ran underground. That way they're just out of sight. You don't have to worry about them getting hit or starting to look nasty over time as the lawnmower hits them. All right, so we move on to attic. So just looking through the attic. This report said that they had insulation, they measured it. They go look through ventilation, vapor barrier, exhaust duct, sheathing, garage. So they looked through the garage and didn't have any issues. They looked at the garage door, the door opener. One thing to note too is that like D.R. Horton, they don't include a garage door opener, like with the transmitter and the automatic motor. So that's something to know, to have planned to have installed right away, because nobody wants a brand new house that you can't drive into. So sometimes you can add it into the scope of the build. This house was already pretty much done, and so it wasn't included in that contract. So look at the concrete floor, the wall, the ceiling of the garage. Now we're looking at the structure of the house. So you get into the foundation. You get into this more foundation or structural. So that's any cracks that they see anywhere. The roof. Do they notice any bows in the roof? Ceiling. The basement. So they just look for see if they see deficiencies structurally. Electrical. So they go through and with the electrical inspection, they have and you can buy these at Home Depot or whatever your preferred store is, a electrical tester that you plug into the outlets, and it will read they'll let you know if it's wired properly. And then they also do an inspection of the circuit breaker to make sure that that's looking good. They usually pop the cover off and make sure that the terminations and everything is wired well. So they look through the electrical. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, that's that photo. So they pop the cover off, and then they make sure that there's a number of things they look at. I won't bore you with. Go in more detail if you want to have any questions. Feel free to reach out. Grounding, receptacles. So all this electrical stuff. So GFCIs, that's one of the most common inspection comments I see on existing houses, is that GFCIs, those are those breakers that the plugs that will pop if too much current troughs through them. So if it gets wet or something like that, it will pop at the actual plug-in and not at the breaker downstairs. And that's a safety thing, and it's convenience too, because those are the ones that are most likely to overdraw. Like if you got a curling iron going and a hair dryer going and maybe something else, this might be pulling more current than what that circuit's made for. And then it's nice that you can just pop, reset it right there at the receptacle. Look at smoke alarms, carbon monoxide, the thermostat. Take a look at the gas situation, or the fuel source, which is, this one is natural gas. Sometimes it might be propane if you're in the country. They look at the electrical and gas meters. AC, what this says here is that, or somewhere here, is that when it's below 65, it's not healthy to run an air conditioning system, so they don't test them when it's cold outside. Yeah, so that just lets you know that, hey, we looked at it and it looks okay, or they make comments if it doesn't, but to let you know that they don't inspect it when it's cold outside. Forced air furnace. Hey, pop the covers off, look for anything that's going on there. Natural gas piping, plumbing system, water main, so the water line coming into the house. Water heating equipment, so look at the hot water heater. This one was a on-demand tankless water heater, which those are pretty cool. Hose bibs. One thing to note about hose bibs is on older houses, water will go actually and like if the pipes are right on the wall, this thing's connected right to it, and so this little bit of water right here can freeze and break. The newer hose bibs actually go into the house a bit, so when you're turning it on and off, the on-off switch or valve is actually like 8 inches or so into the house, so it stays warmer and less risk of freezing. So in older houses, it's not uncommon for people to valve off these external spigots in the wintertime. All right, so now they're looking at the faucets, and they did have an issue with this one. They said the left second floor bathroom sink has no hot water. Recommend testing the fixture once the supply line has been restored. They look at toilets, tubs, sump pump, sewage pump. So houses with basements usually have a sump pump, which pumps the rainwater, and then the sewage pump, also called an ejector pit or ejector pump. That's where all the nasty water pumps out. So like if you have a washer and dryer in your basement or a bathroom, that would drain to this pit and then pump out to the sanitary sewer. And then this guy would be where your footing tiles are. So houses have footing tiles all around them, so you don't see them, they're outside, and they go around the house, and it's a perforated pipe with a stone around it so that the water comes down from the outside, and then it hits that pipe, and then it travels through it, and then that pipe goes into the house, into this pit, so then the water fills up, and then the pump will sense that it's getting full and then shoot the water out, and then that will go outside the house. All right, so interior, windows, doors, railings, countertops, cabinets, appliances. They look at all the appliances, range oven, cooktop, range hood, dishwasher. If there was an issue with this one, the dishwasher installation was not complete. Recommending finish installation and testing the unit. So this one just wasn't done. And this is something like this is not uncommon to see on a new build, where some like stuff like that we call like in the punch list items, just odds and ends about the house that haven't been completed yet. Because what probably happened here is that the appliance installer probably brought it into the house, but then like the plumber was the one supposed to connect it, and the plumber probably already did his work in the house, so this wasn't, and then the dishwasher wasn't there when he was there, so he just needs to come back and make a simple connection. All right, microwave oven, waste disposal, clothes dryer. And okay, so that was the report, and then I'm gonna scroll up to the top. So the inspectors give all that detail, and then here we go, I'm trying to find this here. So then they write a summary report. So in here, it's the items that we already saw, but the trim issues, this wasn't an issue, they're just saying, hey, we couldn't test the AC, so they want to put that on there. Sinks, so the second left bathroom sink had no hot water, so they turned the water on and nothing happened. The dishwasher was not connected. Yeah, okay, so those were the items. And so with this, so what happened now? So now the question is how to present these inspection issues to the builder. So what happens at this point is that there's a number of different ways, but in the Illinois and Indiana real estate process, in Indiana, there's a standard form that we put inspection comments on. In Illinois, it goes through the attorneys. So you let the attorney know, here's our inspection comments, and then they give their comments. Our attorney sends it to the seller's attorney to then give to the seller. It's a convoluted process that should be streamlined, but that's how it works in Illinois. Yeah, a lot of things in Illinois are like that, I guess. But with the builder, you're working with them directly. So what I did is met with my buyer, and we went through the report. And so I summarized these just in the email, And I told the builder's rep, I said, hey, here's the summary of the comments. Also attaches the entire inspection report. It's always nice to send that too, because what happens with that is it's a little like psychology, is that when you give them, a lot of times reports will list lots of things that aren't really like need to be fixed, but they'll might point out things like there's a crack in the drywall and stuff like that. And so that kind of that shows the seller that, hey, the inspector flagged all these comments, but we're only asking for a few things to be corrected. So it's kind of a psychology thing there, or a negotiation strategy. But in this scenario, their requests were all very straightforward and valid. It wasn't gray that the seller wasn't responsible to make complete those items of work. Because sometimes in an existing house, somebody might say, hey, there's nicks on the wall, we want them painted, and the seller's not obligated to have that work done because it's not it's not functionality of the house or safety issues, which is generally what inspection is supposed to be limited to. Okay, yeah, so I summarized all our comments, and we had like 4, and we sent them to the builder's rep. And then what happened is that the builder's rep didn't respond. And it's not that she was avoiding us, it was just that sometimes emails get lost, or sometimes you're at your desk, you get an email, you don't know. You're like, oh, I got to call so-and-so about that. And so maybe I just needed to wait more time. So the next day I just texted the D.R. Horton's agent, and then they got right back to me and they're like, oh, sorry, yeah, we saw that and we're going to take care of it. And then so another handful of days goes by, we don't hear anything. And so I just reached out to the buyer's agent, or the D.R. Horton agent again, and said, hey, we're just checking on this, closing date's coming soon. We just want to make sure that these are all completed before the final walkthrough and closing. And then she let me know. She's like, oh, let me check with the construction department. Because with builders, like larger builders especially, there's different divisions. So you'll have sales, you'll have marketing, you'll have construction, various other departments. So she had to connect again with the construction department. And they usually have one person that's the point person for the closeout process of the construction side of the homes. So she reached out to him, and then he provided an update that, oh yeah, everything's done except one item that's currently drying. So they had to do some trim work to correct something. Yeah, so there was a little bit of a back and forth there. And the follow-up's critical, because if we didn't follow up, then this work probably wouldn't have been completed. Some of it would have, like I think the dishwasher was already on their radar, but some of those other items like the trim wasn't on their radar. So it was good that we did this, get it done before closing. And then there was actually one item that they couldn't get done before closing. So what they have, and a lot of builders do this, is that they have a form that they fill out that's like a carbon copy. They write the items that need to be done. The builder's rep signs it, the buyer signs it, and we have documentation that says, hey, we know this needs to be done, but we don't want to hold up the closing, so we'll get this done within X amount of days after closing. So that way the buyer has documentation that this work's going to be completed. So that was pretty much the process. And so one thing I wanted to end this with was I teased out earlier is that, so D.R. Horton has a financing feature. So D.R. Horton has the company DHI Mortgage, I think it is, DHI Mortgage. And in their loan terms, which is really cool, is that allows you to buy a house, and then, like in this scenario, this house was like $400,000. The buyer had a house that they wanted to sell, and they were in the process of doing so, but that didn't close yet. And so what most people want to do is you want to wait to buy your new house until you close your departing house, so that all the cash that you're netting from the sale, you can roll over into the new house and have a lower mortgage amount. And because otherwise what happens if you buy a house and you didn't roll over your cash yet from the sale of your other house, you buy the house and you have, like, your loan fees are often based on the amount of the mortgage, and then you have loan costs for origination fees and everything. So you'd have to, in that scenario that you have a house that hasn't sold yet, typically how it would work is that you get a mortgage to buy the new house, and then you have to pay all these fees, and then you say a month later the sale of your departing house closes, you get all that cash, then you have to refinance your loan you just had, and then you have to pay fees again, you have to pay for an appraisal again. You're basically losing thousands of dollars just from that from refinancing. And so to avoid that process, what DHI Mortgage has this feature that so my buyer was able to buy the house with, it was a nominal amount down, say 5% down, and then when his house sells, so his loan terms is based off of, let's say $400,000 is what the loan is based off of. Now, when his departing house sells, he's able to take that money and send it, cashier's check, wire, however you do that with the proper documentation, to the mortgage company, and then they recalculate the mortgage so that the payment amount is now, he was bringing over like $200,000. So in this scenario, his payment restructures to $200,000. Because otherwise, like, you could still do that in another scenario where you got just a regular loan, but then if you brought the $200,000 over, your payment amount is still based on the original loan amount of $400,000, which can be not fun for cash flow reasons. So again, in this scenario, his loan started for the first couple payments at a loan amount of $400,000, but then as soon as he brought the cash over from the sale of his departing house, the loan restructured to a $200,000 loan amount, so his payment dropped. And so that's the main feature when a convey, is that the payment drops when you bring the money over in this financing. They call it recalculating or something like that. But in a more traditional mortgage, when you bring the cash over from the sale of your house, it doesn't change your mortgage payment amount. Your payment amount stays the same. It's just a nice principal buy down, which is awesome, but you're still paying the entire amount of the original payment. So after watching this, you probably had some questions that popped in your mind, and please feel free to reach out. You can call, text, email. My information's above and link below in the description. And as always, if you could just do us a huge favor and like this video if you got anything out of it. If you really want to help us out, if you subscribe to the channel, again, it helps YouTube know that people are watching this content, they enjoy it, and then YouTube pushes it out to more, of which helps us, because a lot of our business comes from YouTube, of which we appreciate it and love working with you guys. So please feel free to reach out. We'd love to connect with you. Thanks for watching.